Conferência de imprensa com Aleksandar Kovacevic, o primeiro apurado para as meias finais do Indoor Oeiras Open 2. Aleksandar, congrats. First of all, welcome to Portugal. How has it been for you so far here? How do you find the conditions here?
Yeah, I mean the conditions are nice. I've always liked playing indoors. I grew up in New York City in the U.S. and so grew up playing many times indoors in matches and practice. And in college as well in the U.S. There's a lot of indoor tennis. So I think I like indoors better than most, and my game is suited more for playing in fast conditions. These are not the fastest courts, but it's very obviously there's no wind. It's very easy to play. So conditions are good so far, and obviously the results help to confirm. Yeah.
And from what you saw, what the city, the country, of course, this part of the country, what do you think so far?
Yeah, like I was telling you before, I'm very pleasantly surprised with Portugal. In the U.S., a lot of people, when they talk about Europe, they talk about Spain, Italy, and things. They don't really mention Portugal much, but since I've been here, the food has been amazing. The city's amazing. Saw some of the beaches. It's a really beautiful country. So I'm super. I wouldn't say super surprised, but just super happy to be here. It's been a great city to be in. So especially for a tournament, we don't have some of the places we go are not the nicest. So I'm very happy to be here.
And so far, so good for you on the court. Yet drop serve, really good matches. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played consecutive matches, I think, in a while. I haven't had the best end of the season of last year, and then starting this year in Australia. Last year in Australia I qualified, so this year I went out in the second round of the qualifying, so I wanted to kind of get back and get back to playing a lot of matches and hopefully doing well, and that's been the case so far, so happy with it.
You have some points to defend from last year in Melbourne, so this is an important run for you. Are you feeling any kind of pressure?
I mean, the pressure, honestly, if I felt any, was I would say that at the end of the year last year when I was trying to make it to the main draw in Australia, and then looking too much at the points and things like that was kind of driving me crazy a little bit. I wasn't getting the best out of me, and in the off season I kind of just accepted more like where I am. I have a lot of points coming off in the beginning of this season, so it's not just Australia. It's coming up, and then more what I'm been trying to focus on, and it's been doing me good. Is more just trying to get my level to where I want it to be, and working hard and trying to focus on what how to be a better tennis player in general, and then results will hopefully come with that, which it looks like it's starting to come. So it's good. But in terms of the pressure for points, I don't know. It's a long year. You can't stress yourself out too much. I'm just trying to look at the year and long term and how I can do better in the long year. Not this week I have to make this many points or anything. It's not trying to focus on that.
But even on that, I guess being close to the top 100, the first step, the small goal is to be in the top 100 again, I guess.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's no secret. I dropped out of the top 100 and stuff, and life is better when you're in the top 100. Yeah, making the main draws of the Grand Slams and things like that. So for me, it's not so much a goal to be top 100, more so just get back to playing good, and by playing good, hopefully you are top 100 and even better. Last year I was a top 100 for most of the year, but still was not happy with the way that I was playing all the time. There was times where obviously had good matches, bad matches, but I'm trying to figure out how to push it even higher. So the next goal is top 50, and not saying I will get there, not saying I won't, and then but once you get the top 100, once you get the top 50, it's always more. That's the way that I feel like tennis players are, because we're very ambitious. The only way to get to top 100, I think, and these, just pro tennis in general, is to be very ambitious. So it's tough when you get to your goals. You kind of just want to keep going. So, and then being like, coming back out, it's not easy to swallow sometimes, and then it wasn't easy for me. But now it's more just like accepting where I am and trying to work back and work to get better again.
Was it tough coming from Melbourne to here with the jet lag and stuff, or not?
Oh yeah, I thought what's funny is I thought that I was breaking up the trip back to the US by coming here. I was like, okay, I played in Australia, well, so I'm gonna come here, play some matches, and then come home. But it's actually longer to come here than it is to go to the US. So I did, like 15 hours flight first to Qatar, and then another 8 hours to here. Whereas on the way to Australia, I did 5-hour flight to Los Angeles and then 15 hours. So it's still similar, but even longer actually coming to Europe than it is going to the US. So didn't expect that, but I kind of enjoy flying. It's peaceful sometimes, and actually the long flights for me are not so bad because I can actually have time to sleep. When it's like a 9-hour flight only, and it's like overnight, and you have to go and try to rush to sleep, then it's worse. But when it's super long, actually, weirdly, you won't hear many people say that, but I like it because I feel like I can relax and just take my time and sleep, and you have nowhere to be. You're just in a plane, so you can watch shows and not feel like you're being lazy.
And are you one of those players that enjoys traveling, travel the world to play?
That's the thing.
tennis?
I don't enjoy being on the road for a long time because I think it does make you tired after a long time, and I like being home. But I only meant the actual travel itself.
Yeah.
I don't mind, but being away from home and stuff is not easy sometimes. So especially like end of the last year, I was on the road for 9 straight weeks or something, and I just all I wanted to do was go home, but I wanted to try to keep pushing for points and this to try to be an Australian main draw. But learn from that there's you have to take breaks, and the top guys, they're always and obviously they have the luxury of not having to play every week and things like that, but they're not ever going to play 4 or 5 weeks in a row. They're always going to play some weeks and then go home and reset, and it's mainly mental, but physical, but also mental. So that's important.
So does it help having a few guys here like Mackenzie and JJ to?
Yeah, it feels like
Switch
home a
off
little
from
more,
tennis,
especially JJ when he comes with his cowboy hats and those things. He looks a little bit crazy, but it reminds you of how we are at home. He's my good friend, so nice to see them all. But at the same time, it is still work. So it's as cool as it is to be staying in the city. It's beautiful. We have dinners and amazing food and beaches and everything. We can't quite enjoy it as much as a tourist would. Or like I still have a list of places I want to come and go and see here. Nazare, the waves. I want to go see that, but just to find the time, it's hard until you lose. And when you lose, you're not so happy. So it's tough. But it's also a bonus. You also it'd be much worse if you're in a place that sucks also. So no complaints about the city at all. It's still like a business trip, especially at some of these like challengers where, for me, the only benefit for me for some of these tournaments is to really do well. It's if I win 1 round or 2 rounds, that's not the goal for me, and so I'm trying to really focus and have a mission here when I come, but also try to enjoy it. So it's a little bit of both.
What's your favorite spot so far?
For food or for just whatever.
You tell me.
Yeah, well, we've been going to I'm here with my girlfriend, and she's been doing the research for the food and stuff, and so we haven't been to the same place twice.
Okay.
But they've all been really good, especially like this brunch spot. I'm not like typical brunch does not like excite me at home, but here all the food's super fresh and amazing, so it's hard to say. But like what we saw, we went kind of half hiking at this Cape Roca, whatever I don't know what it's called.
Cape Roca, yeah.
Amazing, like with the cliff there, almost scary a little bit, but it's beautiful there. So that was a highlight for sure. But I want to see more of that kind of stuff, like the Nazare waves, and apparently the beaches in the south are amazing. So I want to go see that. For food, I'm trying to think. Well, I love acai bowls. So there's been great places with acai bowls. We went to this other place called Pomme Eatery for like lunch, and that was amazing. They had all these different flavors and things. So nothing that wasn't unique. So I don't know, those kind of things. I love them.
In talking about American tennis, of course, great times for you guys.
Yeah.
Women's side, men's side. Of course, talking about men's side, a lot of players. Where do you see yourself amongst the best ones, like Taylor, Francis? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ways to go. I played a good match with Francis in US Open, where I felt I was right there with him in that match, and it was a very exciting time for me after US. Even though I lost first round of US Open, it was amazing to play in my city cool match with a big court. And I really felt like my level was getting there, and I was shooting for top 50 by the end of the year. Ended up being exactly the opposite. I ended up having really not the best end of the year. So at this point, instead of setting goals that are, too out there, I'm kind of just trying to focus on what's in front of me. It's of course great to see those guys do well. I mean, a lot of us, like me, Tommy, Paul, Francis, he just bought a house like 5 minutes from me, so we're all in the same crew. We're all really good friends. Taylor lives mainly in California, so I don't know him as well, but Francis and Tommy and a lot of the younger guys. Ben lives in Orlando, a little bit far from me, but we're all really good friends. A lot of the younger guys coming up, Ethan Quinn, Nishesh, they're all now moving to Boca Raton, where we live, and we're all kind of like a little crew. So it's nice that we all kind of push each other and do well. I mean, some guys we on TV, Tommy I think he's now in the 4th round playing amazing. So it's inspiring, but also, it's nice that we're all kind of pushing each other to try to do better. I have ways to go to be where, some of these guys are, but and then I'm also, there's some guys kind of coming up that are still, I would say below my rank, whatever, and it's all fun competition between us, but obviously everyone's shooting to be the best, and it's hard. I mean, Taylor's now finals of US Open and top, I don't know, 5 or something. Yeah. So, and he's playing, especially, I think he's beating everyone like crazy. So there's big variant. I wouldn't say big variance, but a lot of guys coming through it, and it's really, really good. So it's exciting times for Americans. I think it's, really pushing it, because it's been a while since anyone's really won, anything as an American, anything big. But once that happens, I think also for American tennis in general, in the media and things, people will actually care more about tennis, because the sports in the US are dominated by football and basketball, which I love watching those kind of sports as well. I don't love watching tennis myself very much, so I get it from people, but at the same time, once American makes kind of a breakthrough, really makes a breakthrough, which Fritz arguably did, but it's still, the focus is still, I feel like, more on the Sinner and Alcaraz, but if an American really gets on top, it'll be a big, I think, boom from, I don't know, American media in the sports and everything, so it'd be cool.
You don't like watching yourself, but I like watching you play. Where did your one on the backhand come from? Do you like to use that weapon with the slice and etc.?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. We play tennis every day, so it's not that I don't like to watch always. Sometimes Australian Open, I'll watch some cool matches and stuff. It's just, sometimes it's too much. But the one-handed backhand, my dad was a big Federer fan. I was a big Federer fan when I was young as well. I mean, still am. And so my dad taught me my strokes and stuff, and he tried to model my game exactly like Federer. Now watching Federer, some of the things he was doing, it's hard to replicate. I can't say that, watching him hit from his feet winners on random balls, that's a hard kind of game to look at and try to replicate. A big thing with my game in the last couple of years that I've been trying to focus is raising my level when I'm not playing my best. And so, of course, it's amazing to try to play like Federer, where you're hitting winners on any ball, but it's hard. It's very hard to replicate that. And he was doing that for so long, and that's why he's, one of the best of all time. Now, of course, I want to be where he is, but you have to be there's stepping stones with your game. You can't just try to play like the best of all time and just expect it to happen. So, but I definitely model my game after Federer, and but in some ways, nowadays with the way the game is, I wish I almost had a two-hander sometimes, just for game-wise. Of course, it looks nice. Everyone says that it looks nice to have a one-handed backhand, but the game's very physical nowadays. It's harder to make it with, I think, a one-handed backhand, especially on the return of serve and things like that. So it's a give and take. For my whole life, since I was, 10 years old, everyone said how pretty my game is, but I just sometimes wish that it would translate to winning more matches. It's hard. Of course, but I mean, as tennis players, it's important to also entertain fans. That's why we do it. It's you know, at the end of the day, we're entertainers. So it's nice that I have a pretty game to some people. Now I have to try to make it to the, you know, big leagues to actually, you know, showcase it in big tournaments, which I did sometimes last year, but I obviously need to get back to top 100 and higher to really do that.
And how can you explain your serve performance? Because nowadays it seems like the people relate serving well to the as a tall player.
Mm-hmm.
How taller you are, or how much bigger you serve, like Taylor, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
or American tennis,
Yeah.
but you are not one of the tallest guys
Yeah.
on tour, but you serve pretty well. You didn't get broken in 3 matches here, so how do you
Yeah.
explain that?
I mean, it's definitely an advantage to be taller for serve. I mean, definitely, I would say very rare that my serve is as kind of good as it is for my height. So I definitely don't think that, you know, the height is definitely not hurting for the serve, but I think it helps, like especially the guy I played today, like maybe he's coming from a different angle, so you can open up the court more. I'm able to still find my spots very well, and I have pretty good power with the serve for my height, and I'm blessed that, you know, I feel that way, but it's tough. I think, you know, and you see it with Alcaraz and Djokovic are still able, with not being the tallest guys, able to compete, but I think it's definitely, you'll see more and more guys that are a little bit, it doesn't have to be taller, it's just, I mean, it doesn't have to be super tall. It's not like I'm talking about Opelka, where of course his serve is insane, but I think nowadays you find a lot of these players that are, one of the things when you're tall is that you usually don't move that well. As well as someone that's smaller, but nowadays you have guys like Zverev and things that are moving amazing too. So and Medvedev. So it's a plus if you're able to be tall, serve well, and then move amazing. You're hard to beat. So I don't know. I think the future of the sport, definitely you'll see more guys that are taller, physical specimens, more so than. It's just hard. It's harder to make it, I think, as someone that's shorter. Not saying it's possible. I mean, Alcaraz is not the tallest guy. He's probably the best in the world right now. Where, you know, him, Sinner and Djokovic are right up there. But just I guess on average, coming through, I think it's tougher as a shorter guy versus a taller.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.